If you see something you can fix, you need to step up and fix it to make sure that our manufacturers have a level playing field. Our children, every child in this great state has an opportunity for quality education, that our small businesses have access to credit to create good quality jobs right here in America, that our seniors can retire with dignity and respect with the Medicare and Social Security that they've earned, and that we are creating good jobs for the future.
All right, let's meet Elizabeth Esty. She's making a return of sorts to Washington as one of 98 women newly elected to the House. The Harvard and Yale Law graduate spent several years at a top D.C. law firm where she wrote Supreme Court briefs defending women's reproductive rights before moving back home to Connecticut to work on health care policy. She served one term in the Connecticut State House, losing her bid for a second term following an emotional debate where she opposed the death penalty on the heels of brutal, high-profile murders of a mother and two daughters in a Connecticut town. Just 2 years later, though, she went on to win a tough Democratic primary battle in a huge upset against the Connecticut House Speaker, Chris Donovan. But 38 days after she was elected, 20 students and 6 adults were massacred at Sandy Hook Elementary School, and that's in her district. Now, Esty says the shooting has refocused her agenda in Congress. She joins me now, Congressman Elizabeth Esty. Congresswoman, congratulations. Welcome to Washington, although you're in Connecticut this morning. But congratulations on the new job. And let me start out with what you're hearing from what's going on with Vice President Biden, what the administration is going to propose. What would you like to see from the administration? What would you like to hear from the president when he does when he starts to talk about gun legislation in the next week?
Well, I've been in touch with the Vice President. He called me the day after the shooting. I spoke with him again last Friday. And I'm hearing from the President and the Vice President a strong commitment to, I think, our shared values as Americans, which is to keep our families and our children safe. And that's the bottom line commitment. So we need to get together, find a way to make that true.
Well, what does that mean? Does that mean pushing for an assault weapons ban?
Well, I would like to see, and I've been on record for quite some time about reinstating the assault weapons ban, dealing with high-capacity magazines, and the gun show loophole, and really getting serious about enforcing the laws we have. But again, I think we need to be focusing on what is it going to take to keep our families safer. And I just don't believe that the Second Amendment requires, that freedom of the Second Amendment requires that our first graders be able to be executed in their classroom. That just can't be the right balance.
Well, there's 2 other proposals floating around, by the way. One has to do with increasing police protection at schools. Would you like to see that?
I have to tell you, as a mother of 3 children who was a first-grade room parent, I think it is the wrong direction to go to make our schools into prisons. And, you know, if you look at that, I talked with teachers yesterday, every day, who just are horrified at the thought of guns in their classrooms, guns in their schools. So, again, we need to find ways to keep guns out of the hands of people who would misuse them, not arm everyone. I think that would be the wrong direction.
Let me ask you about culture. I mean, do you think Hollywood, video games, do you think they play a role in this? Do you think that we were playing a clip of an interview from Quentin Tarantino, and he believes his movies do not contribute to a culture of violence at all?
Well, I think there's going to be time and place to really look at an examination around that. I have 2 teenage boys. I'm certainly well aware of what's out there in video games and what's on the TV and the radio. Right now, I'll tell you, though, my attention is tightly focused on helping the folks in Newtown, the families, the first responders, Pat Lodra, the first select woman, and the teachers. And then I think there's going to be time over the months ahead for us to engage in a discussion about a culture of violence, but also, very importantly, around mental health issues, because that clearly is playing a factor here.
And I know since Newtown's in your district, this is going to be a huge focus for you, but obviously your first big debates and the first votes you're going to be taking have to do with some of these fiscal issues that are going to be taking place, whether it's debt ceiling, whether it's government spending and things like that. Are you willing to see cuts in government spending? Are you willing to see reforms in Medicare and Social Security that deal with parts of this debt problem the country has?
Well, I'll tell you, I've always been an advocate for responsible spending. I think government needs to be delivering services for people in a cost-effective way. And now we have not only an opportunity, but an obligation to do that. Find ways to spend smarter. That's what I stood for in the state legislature, drill down into budgets, find ways to more effectively deliver for people. So that is absolutely what I'm committed to doing. You know, in my position, in addition to working on the task force on gun violence in the House, I'm also on transportation and infrastructure and science, and those are two great perches to look for how we lay the foundation for economic growth, for jobs in our communities, and that is going to have to be a key part of this battle.
Okay, Elizabeth Esty, Democrat from Connecticut, new member of Congress, and where Newtown is, I know a big focus of your first year is going to be on the gun violence issue. Thanks for coming on, and welcome to Washington.
Thank you so much, and happy anniversary, Chuck.
Thank you. Very kind of you to say. All right, we'll get a check.